And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. Stevie D, what's going on, my friend?
Well, I've had better weeks.
Do tell, because I think I know where you're going.
Well, you know, when you're 3 quarters into the first, I don't know, when that was 17 games, so it kind of messes that whole thing up.
Right?
You know, your first 3-4 games and you're 0-3. I'm not too happy. I'm going to be honest.
Let the doctor take care of it for you. All right. The cup. When we look at the cup, it has to be half full. There's nowhere but up for.
I'm half empty.
It's not empty yet. It's not empty yet. I mean, now if you were an Eagles fan, you know, you'd be turning it upside down because there's nothing coming out. But as a Jet fan, you have encouragement. The only thing I question, and we talked about this, and so definitely want to really get into this, and we'll just kick it off right away, Stevie D. I'm looking at the Jets, and I'm looking at the play calling. I'm looking at the development, and I know it's still early, but looking at the development of Zach Wilson. And you almost get a sense that the offensive coordinator, who is a rookie offensive coordinator, is way over his head. And then I start to question the head coach, because this is his first job as a head coach, right? And you know you're going into a bad situation. You know you're going into a mega media market. You know there's expectations because you're going to be drafting second. Why aren't you putting the tools, not necessarily the players, right, but put the tools around him to help his development? Why aren't you bringing in that veteran offensive coordinator who can get in his ear, settle him down, put him in the right situation, maybe call more running plays than pass plays, even throughout the game itself? You may lose. That's okay, right? Why wasn't there the emphasis to bring in the veteran running back to carry the load? You could have gotten like a Mark Ingram, right? You could bring him in there. Yeah, he's not going to be the big splash, right? So there's different things that are happening there that I'm actually questioning the Jet organization. If you want to get out of, you know, that mire of just futility and become a good solid franchise. And I'm not taking shots. This is legit.
When you're 2-14 last year, you're 0-3 to start this year. You know, as a fan, what can you really say when people want to, again, say what they want to say about the organization? What you're saying is real and honest, and it's the truth, really. At the end of the day, you hit a couple of things. When the offensive coordinator is calling plays, and as a fan, you're sitting there saying, why are we calling these type of plays for a rookie? Why aren't we letting the run set up Zach Wilson? Why aren't we putting him in better spots to short passes to get things going in the game, or letting him have more shots at his
frequent fan? Hey, Terry.
And letting him get an opportunity to work into the game. But there is something that I don't think can be dismissed, is that the Jets lost Mr. Knapp, Coach Knapp, to an accident, who was our passing game coordinator, who was the veteran guy that was supposed to help LaFleur and be that earpiece for him, and help him develop, not just passing games, but be a voice in that headset to say, hey, you may want to, do this play or check into that play and do that and do that. And I think that's a loss that most Jet fans are not really talking about. And when I listen to other Jet fans speak, or I read different blog posts, I mean, they're killing LaFleur, they're killing Zach Wilson. But when you go all off season, and then right around training camp, I think it happened during training camp.
Yeah,
he gets hit by a car and ultimately passes away. there's a lot that changes there because most players and young coaches, they don't lose a coach to death, right? Or sickness. Typically that doesn't happen. And all of a sudden your whole organization gets turned upside down with your rookie coach, your rookie OC, and your rookie quarterback. But there's other issues. Like we have second year wide receiver Denzel Mims out of Baylor, not getting on the field. He's played one snap in 3 games. It was a 38-yard catch in the one pass play, but they're saying he can't grasp the playbook, so he's not playing. He's going to be playing this week because we're missing multiple people due to concussion. So he's going to be on the field. So it's going to be interesting how they mix him in for someone who's not grasping the playbook, and the reason why he's been inactive 2 of the 3 weeks this coming week.
So he hasn't even dressed.
That's correct.
Was he on the practice squad?
No, he's a healthy scratch. He's just a healthy scratch. And they're saying, that once he learns the playbook, he's going to be out there. But if you don't know the playbook and the motions, you can't be out there. And so they're confident that the light bulb's going to turn on and he'll be back out there. But to me, that's a threat on the field that why wouldn't he line up wide with Corey Davis and leave the motions to the Crowders and the Elijah Moores? So it's a little bit confusing there, I think, to the Jet fans. I understand grasping the playbook. Look, we've seen Chad Johnson go to the Patriots, not grasp the playbook, didn't play, right? So we've heard those stories before, but it's just a shame that Denzel is in the doghouse, if you will. But honestly, that's where I really think of. But Saleh, to your point, though, hold on one second. To your point, though, Saleh has to be that he gave him the vote of confidence, but he also needs to be the person that steps up and says, "Hey, we need to change up this plan because it's not working." And there was really no adjustments to help Zach Wilson in Game 3.
Do you think that Saleh, in the way that he is kind of, how do you put it, running that ship there for the Jets, do you think that it's almost do it my way or else type mentality, trying to change a culture? Is that potentially what's going on with Mims as well?
No, I think, honestly, I think Saleh is really giving LaFleur too much leeway to do it his way. And I think Saleh, is paying a little bit more attention to the defensive side.
Another Bills fan in the house. Another Bills fan. Yeah, baby.
They all come out when you're 2-1. Where were you a couple years ago when you're all in the toilet? That's what I want to know.
We weren't streaming live. That's the problem.
Why is it my team in the toilet when we're streaming live? But it's all good. But he's paying I think he's paying a little bit more closer attention to the defense. And relax, Terry, relax.
Terry, I have explained this to Stevie D time after time. It's not that we're taking over. We already took over.
Oh, God. You don't even have the Super Bowl trophy in your case. Come on now.
I do not want anything that, here it comes. Here it comes. You're getting love against the ropes. We don't talk about the exhibition game. We don't do it.
Yeah, because you can't win it. That's why you don't talk about it.
Because it's an exhibition game. I could care less about an exhibition game. Yeah. I talk about championships.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What, AFC championships?
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Well, anyway, back to the Jets. The Jets is, they have a top 10 defense, which is surprising. Right now, they're after 3 weeks, they're number 10 in the NFL. And they're trying to survive as the turnovers that the Jets are doing because we have 7 interceptions in 3 games, so that's not very good. And so the defense is, doing its best as can with the turnovers. But in the end, what do I want to see going forward? Some type of adjustments by LaFleur to recognize that his quarterback is not ready to throw down the field as often as you like. You can't just give him, what's the word, carte blanche to throw, 20, 30 yards downfield too often. But I'll tell you, Sean Barber, who's been often on our show, we call him Mr. Kansas City out here, is that He told me before the season started, he says if the Jets have Zach Wilson throw more than 15 to 18 passes a game, you're failing him. It should be run oriented.
Yeah.
Even if you lose
Yeah.
the game, but keep his passing down.
Yeah.
And throwing it 30 to 40 times a game, as you can see, is a detriment to Zach Wilson.
No
So
doubt.
run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Let the run set up the pass.
And Stevie D, to Sean's point, we've seen that, right? The quarterbacks who have been successful in their first or maybe second year have always been the benefactors of a strong running game. They all have, right? Most notably, you look at what Roethlisberger did, his rookie year. But you look behind him, and you got just, a great backfield.
And a great defense to help.
And a great defense. That's right. Now, more often than not, you're not going to get that. We talked about that. You're drafting in the second position for a reason, right? Unless, you found yourself with, like a Andrew Luck type situation, right, where the quarterback went down, the whole season goes in the tank, right? So what do? You get, what do they say, suck for luck, right? Well, that's what it was. And then you turn around the next year and everything's back to normal. But outside of that, that valid point, you have to have the running game. You have to have an offensive line, right, if you're going to be successful. These are all the things that help that quarterback. And you can get away with average, marginal wide receivers as weapons. The only thing that you really do need to have, if you have marginal wide receivers, you got to have a great tight end.
Well, it's interesting. You talked about Ben, right? So, as Jet fans, you go back to 2009 with Mark Sanchez, who obviously is out of NFL, and he was a turnover machine. But they got lucky. They backed in. They got really lucky to make the playoffs. But you know what? They made it count. And they got all the way to the AFC Championship game. What did they do? They averaged 160 yards per game on the ground. You had Thomas Jones, right, leading the charge there. He came over, I forget where, I think Chicago. Right. And then,
there we go. Hello, Mark Burstein. Hello, Mark. We're not going to talk about that just yet. Get your popcorn ready.
Mark, you shouldn't have said anything, Mark. You should have just stayed.
Get your popcorn ready.
But you had Rex come in, shape that defense into they were number 2 defense, the running game, and you were able to mask all the turnovers because you had the running game, and you got AFC Championship game. The following year, the same thing. Same amount of turnovers. You add an LT to the mix with Sean Green. You're back in the AFC Championship game, and with a stout defense. But
the Bills fans are all out in effect. They're all out. They're all out, baby.
This is
Bills Mafia.
This is a setup. I am going on record. This is a setup here.
Hey, Craig, how are you? Bills Mafia. Oh, please continue.
No, I'm good with the Jets. I am good with the Jets. Let's move on. Honestly, besides Zach Wilson, when you think about the rookie quarterbacks as a whole this weekend, it was a tough weekend for the starting rookie quarterbacks, right? Trevor Lawrence had another 2 picks there in Jacksonville, right? You had Mac Jones. Didn't he have 2 or 3 picks in his game?
He did.
Right? He struggled. Zach, obviously, we talked about his struggles. And then you go to Chicago. Right? And
I'm almost speechless for what transpired there. I really am. Almost to the point, I know everybody was clamoring for Justin Fields. I know they were. But and I said, and you said, he's got to start, right? We said that day one, he's got to start. But it almost feels like he was put into a situation set up for failure right off the bat.
Well, I wonder, and it sounds odd, right? What I'm going to say sounds odd. Does Nagy – come on, Mark. This is a family show here. I wonder if he wanted to prove to everybody that he wasn't ready.
Could be.
I know that sounds weird.
Could be.
Right? Because if Justin Fields succeeds and they go off and do great things and they go 10-7 with a rookie quarterback, all of a sudden, there's renewed energy in Chicago. So you wouldn't want to put your quarterback at risk to be a failure. But it's just weird. How do you get 46, 47 total yards in 4 quarters? I mean, how is that even possible?
It's not possible. Well, I guess it is, right? Because we saw what happened. When I look at that situation, there's so many things that are in flux. You have Pace, the GM. You have Nagy, the head coach, right? We've talked about it before. Are they tied at the hip? Well, they're also kind of tied to Justin Fields. In a way, they're tied to Andy Dalton, right? By bringing him in. And you would think Andy did not come in to be a backup. He said that, right? He was highly upset draft night, right? He was not happy. So you have all this that's going around. You know, Justin in the preseason played like a true captain.
And said all the right things.
Don't boo Dalton. He's wearing a Bears. He's got the C on his helmet. But you have all of this, and you kind of take a step back and you say the problem is with Nagy. Because at the end of the day, the GM brings you the talent, right? You as the head coach, you're the one that has to make the decisions, sometimes the tough decisions on the talent, right? Now, every once in a while, you'll have a rift between ownership who says, I want this guy to play or not. But so early in the season, he could have stood up and said, Justin, what I've seen in practice, Justin is not ready just yet. He's going to be great, right? We know that he's got the talent. But for the time and the situation, you look at our opponent, we're playing the Cleveland Browns. Look at their defensive line, right? Clowney, Garrett, right? You're looking at guys that can really get after quarterback and that are veterans, right? They're not just going to go wild after the quarterback. They know how to get there. And to put Justin in that situation is really right off the bat a recipe for disaster.
Well, look, Andy Dalton was hurt, right? He couldn't play. I guess you could have went with Nick Foles.
You got the legend. Got the legend.
But that's why I wonder if Nagy has been saying that Fields is not ready, and everybody in Chicago is clamoring for it. Now he starts Justin Fields and said, look, he's not ready. He starts Justin Fields, and it bombs.
But who's it look bad on? Who's it look?
Well, it looks bad at the coach, but he can honestly say, look, he's not ready.
Well, he can be saying that sitting at home maybe he comes back to Kansas.
Look, at the end of the day,
you guys can be hanging out. You say, man, what were you thinking?
You know who loses if this doesn't work out? We're saying this is going to cost Ryan Pace and Nagy their job. But this hurts Justin Fields and it hurts the fans of Chicago.
It does.
Because what GM and coach coming in is going to be forced with Justin Fields. It doesn't work. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't
work.
We
talk about that all the time.
Sam Darnold is the latest example of that, where Joe Douglas came out and said, oh, we're going to get an offensive line. He said it to his parents. Oh, we're going to protect him. He did none of that. And the first opportunity he had to replace his coach, he replaced his coach and replaced his quarterback because he wanted his coach and his quarterback. And I could see the same thing happen.
Oh, he knew what was coming. He knew what was coming. He knew what was coming.
You know, those Washington football fans.
But you know the good thing?
What's that? This
is being recorded. I will make sure that we edit out that one segment. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, at the end of the day, they're tied at the hip. If they go, it hurts Justin Fields. It really does. And I could see him, moving on prematurely to another team. That's why, as an ownership, do you give those two one more year? Because if you don't, as an owner say, if I get rid of them, now I'm going to reset. You have to know you're going to be resetting at the quarterback position earlier than you would.
But think about this. Maybe not as bad as we think with Fields, right? Because this is only year one, and this is only one offensive coordinator, right?
But you know what? Eric Bieniemy may fix this problem. Eric Bieniemy may, because he's used to working with quarterbacks that can run. I mean, Alex Smith was not a running quarterback per se, but he can move. Then he's coaching Patrick Mahomes. Maybe this is a great opportunity for Eric Bieniemy to go into Chicago and work with Justin Fields. and
Okay.
get the most out of Justin Fields with his style of offense that he's doing in Kansas City.
You don't think he's going to USC?
No, I don't think he's going to USC.
Actually,
I think
USC.
Urban Meyer's going to USC.
No, Anthony Lynn.
Oh, I did hear his name come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be interesting. The only thing I will say, though, Stevie D, where Fields may be the exception is the fact that he's only had 1 year with Nagy. We're assuming that they move on. He's had 1 year with Nagy, 1 year with the OC. You clean house. When you clean house, you're going to be bringing in a head coach who's going to be given hopefully 3+ years. And hopefully he makes the right hire for the OC where there's continuity along the way. Yeah, you had that first year, it was a hiccup, and then he kind of goes through. Personally, at this point, I would, depending on Dalton's status, I would bring in Foles. And then week 8, 9, since we're at 17 weeks, then I turn it over to Fields. And I let him get all of that experience. And that should be coming down from pace. That should be coming down from ownership. And tell Nagy, listen, basically you can start getting the moving van, get the boxes, get ready because next year you're not going to be here.
Well, you can say you can start anybody you want as long as the name is Nick Foles. but to your point though, remember the ownership did this with Mitch Trubisky, right? They kept Mitch Trubisky, they drafted Mitch. And then they brought in Nagy a year later for year 2, thinking that, he's going to fix him. And it didn't work out. Will that burn the next coach that comes in with Justin Fields because they already went through that and didn't work with Nagy? Would they have that in the back of their mind?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Disaster. It's all sorts of disaster in Chicago.
Good point.
All sorts of disaster there. It's Nagy's got to hope that somehow – he can pull a rabbit out of a hat and make this team somewhat of a winner at some point, show progress during the year, or like you said, he's gone. And so is Pace. He's done.
Yep. So, Stevie D, I want to segue from that disaster to this was a compounded disaster. And I'm talking about the Monday night game between the Eagles and the Cowboys, right? I'm going to take it up.
The Cowboys played somebody on Monday night?
Well, I'm going to get to that one in a minute.
I thought they were playing against themselves.
When I look at, and me a couple, I don't know what I was thinking, right? I don't know what I was thinking. I do know what I was thinking. The logic was there, right? You had a team that didn't make the playoffs. Their quarterback was hurt. They play in Jerry's world. They get national coverage all over the place, right? All you have to do is just guide the ship, right? You don't have to be the navigator, right? You can get TomTom, you can get Waze. I don't care what you got, right? You just get something to guide the ship, and you just go. And with Dak, and with CeeDee Lamb, and with Amari Cooper, and with Zeke, and with Pollard, and with Schultz, and with everybody else, they're going to put up 400+ yards of offense. They're going to win the division, right? They're going to go to the playoffs. And as long as you don't screw up, you're going to end up as coach of the year because you didn't make the playoffs last year, and all of a sudden you've made the playoffs.
Yeah, it's almost like an easy layup. I can see where you were thinking that.
It was an easy layup. Until Mike McCarthy actually steps foot on the sideline. And then and I gave him the pass. Right? He said, the reason why I had problems with the clock is because, the official.
I think we're having technical difficulties here. I don't know if this is still.
You can see everything, right? And as you're looking at everything out there, all of a sudden you watch the Eagles just basically try to run the clock down, right? Tick, 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 tick. And you're looking. What are you looking at, Mike? What are you looking at? Tick, 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 tick. And it goes out, and then you have this look of bewilderment. I don't understand why people are booing. Right? What's the problem here? Why are people talking about it? Because, Mike, you left points on the field. You talk about being a game manager. Anthony Lynn is sitting at home because they said he's a poor game manager. This is atrocious. This isn't even poor. This is just atrocious, right? I cannot, in good faith, continue with my selection, my prediction.
No,
it's over.
No,
it's over. I'll take Urban Meyer. I'll take Urban Meyer over Mike McCarthy.
Okay, so you're going to switch from Mike McCarthy to Urban Meyer.
I'll go anywhere except for this
Urban
guy.
Meyer. You said Urban Meyer.
I'll take Urban Meyer. Okay. I'll take Robert Salah. How about that?
No, don't choose my guy.
Well, he's 0-3. Only way but up, right?
But what's interesting about the Mike McCarthy selection, in our pre-show, as we were getting ready to make sure everything was lining up for the show, right, and we were going through things, you said for head coach Mike McCarthy, and I said, what? I said, you can't stand Mike McCarthy. How can it be? And you went into your reasons that the team was going to be so much better that they can overcome the bad coach and make him coach of the year. Like Dak and Zeke and Amari and CD were going to make him coach of the year.
That's right.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
Well, they're doing their job.
Yeah.
They are absolutely doing their job, but he just can't get out of his own way.
That's right.
He cannot get out of his own way. I was having this conversation earlier with somebody, a Cowboys fan, and I'm puzzled how you won a Super Bowl. I'll tell you what's even crazier is that his offensive coordinator was Joe Philbin.
The original quarterback whisperer.
Right?
I think he was the original.
No disrespect, but there was a movie, Dumb and Dumber. Right? I mean, was this the remake? You had Philbin as your OC, and you're the head coach. And I'm scratching my head. I don't get it. But then again, you look at the team, and you were led by Aaron Rodgers and Greg Jennings and, everybody else that they had on. Driver was on that squad. So, yeah, I mean, I get how you won, but, again, you won in spite of the offensive coordinator who went down to Miami, and they ran him out of Miami because he wasn't good. You won in spite of the head coach who actually got run out of Green Bay, goes to Dallas, and Kellen Moore's going to be the head coach down there.
Jerry Jones said, "I don't have a problem with his play call, with his time management, and clock skills, and all that." So
sure,
he was pulling a TO. That's my coach, man. That's my coach.
Wait till you see those L's pile up because you can't kick the field goal. And Dak is just looking like, look, I drove you down the field like Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and everybody else. And this is what you give me?
Can you remind everybody who my choice was for Coach of the Year?
Sean McDermott.
Terry, that was for you, Terry. Okay, Terry. Just remember that.
Yeah.
Before you take Vince's side on everything, just remember the Jet fan did take your coach.
Now, Stevie D, speaking of the Packers, right?
Yeah.
Very good game between the Packers and the 49ers.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Did not think that trying to play safe. No. Where are the risks? Did not think that game was going to be as interesting as it was. And it did have its lulls. I mean, it really did. I am not impressed with the 49ers. I'm not impressed with Jimmy Garoppolo. And the receiving core, except for Brandon Ayuk, they're okay. They're hurting at
Debo? Dude, it's got the greatest name in sports, Debo.
Yeah, okay. And then you look at Mostert's down, and so with Mostert being down, it just doesn't show me a lot, right? And so I had very little expectation. On the other side, I'm waiting for drama, right? I'm waiting for something to happen if I'm watching on the Packers sideline, right? I'm waiting for Rodgers to throw his hands up in the air and say, I'm calling the plays, rip the microphone or the headset out of the helmet right behind the sideline, just pull it out. I don't need to listen to that. That's what I want to hear. If you're not going to listen to me, well, then I'm going to call these plays. That's what I would.
He goes out with a different helmet without the green.
Yes. Oh, how funny. How funny. But at the end of the day, that game it came down to it. I was very surprised the way San Francisco was able to drive the ball downfield, right? And it just, you saw the Kittle just start to break free and start going down. Yeah. I'm like, what's happening here? And then, of course, whenever you throw a ball to a fullback, do not have any expectation that the fullback is going to try to not score, right? If you don't want them to score, you don't throw it to the fullback. Anybody else knows that, hey, I get multiple targets in a game and it'll happen again. The fullback may not see that ball again for like another 15 weeks, right? It'll be week 17 and they'll be like, oh, yeah, we forgot about you. So you knew he was scoring. And left a little bit too much time on the clock.
32 seconds, I think, was the
37.
37?
37.
Yeah, we've seen that act before out of Aaron Rodgers. But, you had Aaron Rodgers may have been getting the credit, but I think you talked about it like, I don't know, Devontae Adams.
Well, yeah, in all fairness, I kind of get it, right? We talked about this. I kind of get it. There's no timeouts left, right? So you're protecting against the sideline, right? So basically, you got all your DBs lined up on the sideline so that either you can't make the catch or if you do, you're not getting out of bounds to stop the clock.
Right.
I kind of get it. However, there's only one guy on that team that can catch the ball.
Or break away or, get large chunks, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And their first one was like 25 yards. Right? They started at the 25, threw it. Adams catches it over the middle on like a post. And the next thing you know, they're at midfield. Rodgers is running up. Let's spike the ball, right? Instantly, no time is off the clock, and you only need 10 yards to get in field goal range. Right? So that one really was mind-boggling. But you kept leaving the middle open. You have to double Adams. I'll take my chances with Scantling. Hey, go ahead. I'll take it with Lazard.
And honestly, in the post games in the press, if you lost because you doubled Devontae Adams, you'd get a pass because you took out their prominent threat.
Yep.
And now you leave yourself wide open to criticism because you left them,
2 passes. Yeah. 2 passes. That's all it took to go from the 25 into field goal range. 2 passes.
But and the scary part is I don't know in recent memory of a quarterback that I've seen with under a minute of play that goes down and gets those yardages time and time again with 30, 40 seconds left in the game like Aaron Rodgers does. I mean, a couple of years ago, he throws that ridiculous pass on the sideline with that receiver. I mean, how he can move the ball down the field, and I don't obviously, some of it is good plays by the Packers, and some of it is some bad play calling by the defense, and some of it's got to be some luck. But he's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you know what, Green Bay? He won't be there next year. So you better enjoy these games now while you got it.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
That veto in that contract is going to be applied.
So we had a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
And it was pretty good, right?
But not the best game-winning field goal of the weekend.
That's what you call teeing it up. That's what you call teeing it up.
That was called a layup to me, right?
It was. I'm the point guard out there, just throwing the dishes. Go ahead, Stevie D. Talk about it.
I can't believe. First of all, what a game that was, and the Lions coming back. I mean, really, the Lions, the Ravens are so much better than the Lions. Lions, right? The Lions played their game. They played a really great game. And I was like so excited for them and for Dan Campbell.
For Dan.
First win, right? Maybe he was going to have to bite any kneecaps this week. And Goff was so excited that he got the lead. Yeah, well, you left. I think it was a minute 6 left on the clock. And again, I think they had a big pass play over the middle.
They had like a third and 19.
Yeah.
Which, how in the world it would now? A credit to the Lions, they basically had triple coverage in essence, because you had the linebacker that had dropped deep, you had the safety that was coming from the top, and you had a corner or the nickel back that was coming over. So in essence, you had triple coverage. But their triple coverage was a loose triple coverage because he was still wide open to be able to. It was over the linebacker's head, and he was able to jump up and get it, and still get it and turn and go down without taking the big hit.
Yeah, unreal.
I don't know. Come on, Dan.
So you had that, right? And then I just I don't know how to put it. I don't know if I'll ever see that again. A 66-yard field goal. Well, no, I think we'll have a 66-yard field goal because these kickers are kicking further and further.
What do we say? 60 is the new 50, which is the new 40?
Right. And to hit this dead center and then hit the crossbar to fly up and through, I don't even know what the odds of that happening are.
So did you see his run-up? First of all, did you see his run-up? So when you know how they take 3 steps back and then like a half a step or 2 steps over, and they slowly walk in and then kind of get a little momentum before they get a kick. He actually took like a step and then took a hop to kind of generate more, I guess, lower body as he went through to kick the ball. It was actually kind of funny once they said it and you started watching it. But what a kick. Dead center.
Yeah. He is the greatest field goal kicker percentage wise, right? Now he's not as clutch as obviously Vinatieri. He'll go down as the most clutch kicker of all time because of what he's done in Super Bowls. But Tucker is money.
I think I saw something. He is 16 of 16 or 19 for 19 on game winners.
Money right there. But I want to see him do it in. I mean, Adam Vinatieri truly is, Captain Clutch there with the field goals. But
there's no way Mike Vanderjagt is by far Captain Clutch.
I love that line. My liquor up kicker. But that was a game. And then how about, another game winner? How about the Chargers?
Interesting game. Very interesting game. You have the battle of the young quarterbacks, right?
What? Is that kid legit?
Well, there's no doubt about it. We talked about him before he got drafted. Probably this is on the audio podcast, so if you guys want to go back and listen to some of the old archives, we were talking about this kid because he was a real deal in school. But when you look at that game, you just had a sense that Kansas City was just going to win, right? They are still the kings of that AFC West. And I'm not going to say one game the Chiefs are done. I'm not saying that, right? We're still too early. You got the extra game, all of that, throw that out the window. But that's a game that I would expect the Chiefs to be up for. That's a division game on the road. I expect you to be up for that. I expect you to take care of business. I still believe that you have the better talent between the two teams.
Oh, yeah.
I still believe that you should be able to get that job done. The problem that I think is something that you alluded to is that it's not a hangover. It's not the back-to-back Super Bowl hangover. It's not anything of that. I think it's an air of being cocky.
Yeah.
Thinking that you're predestined for certain things to happen and not doing what you were supposed to do or what you've done in the past, right? You made mention, I'll let you talk about it, of a no-look pass when there didn't need to be a no-look pass.
Unbelievable. So that particular play, he's in the pocket. He scrambles to his right, and he's looking towards the right sideline, and he throws no look that way. And the receiver, because where Mahomes was not thinking that that pass was going to come across his body, literally across the body, back towards the middle of the field with zip. I mean, Mahomes zipped it, and it went off his hands and intercepted right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those, this guy was so wide open that he didn't have to do the no look, would have hit the guy no problem, and the guy would have gained 15 yards. Easy 15-yard pass play. Because of where he was going across. The guy that intercepted the ball was actually going towards the sidelines where Mahomes was looking like he was going to throw the ball because that's where he thought Mahomes was going to throw it. So this guy had plenty, at least 15 yards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They had an interception, I don't know what point of the game where, I don't know what he was doing. He just overthrew Kelsey by a mile. Now, when you think of that interception, you probably don't think about it twice because – most quarterbacks, you have those pass plays where the ball gets away from you. But when you don't see this stuff out of Mahomes,
right?
Unfortunately, when you don't see this, and now you do, you kind of like, what's going on here? Why is it almost showing off, like with the no-look pass?
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm hoping is that there's a veteran presence there in the clubhouse, whether it's Kelsey or Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, right, the coaching staff, says to Patrick Mahomes, you don't need to do that.
Can they? Can they? Has the sneakerhead, right? The sneakerhead, has he gotten so powerful inside that Kansas City Chiefs locker room? Can they tell him what they need to be able to say? Can they come to him?
Yeah, I don't know. At a $450 million man, that adds complications.
It does.
But Mahomes on the outskirts seems like he's a really down-to-earth guy, but in the clubhouse amongst your teammates, is that sense of, man, don't talk to me, man. You know who I am, right? I don't know. And do I think the Chiefs are going to go on and win 13 games this year? Probably. Yeah, I think they can. They're 1-2. They should be 0-3 if the Cleveland Browns weren't the old Cleveland Browns. They could have been 0-3 to start the year.
And look at that division. I mean, I don't believe that the Broncos are for real. I don't believe that the Raiders are for real. But right now, look at that division.
But the Broncos defense is so good. The missing piece was a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over. Teddy Bridgewater is not turning the ball over. Now, Again, who have they faced? But you can only play what's on your schedule. They demolished the Jets, totally thrashed the Jets. I think they beat the Giants, and I forget the other team that they played. So they haven't really played anybody of worthiness because I think all teams that they played are 0-9.
Yeah. Yep.
But again, they're 3-0. They're not turning the ball over. They're playing smart football and really good defense. That's a formula to win football games. The Raiders are 3-0. I thought it was a sloppy victory against the Dolphins when they don't have their starting quarterback in there. They go to overtime there, but the Raiders are 3-0. So they're 3-0. Started 6-3 and 6-4, and then fell off the face of the earth. So
but they're 3-0 because of Carr to Waller. That's the best I can tell you. Jacobs is out. They have a carousel running backs in there that are playing backup.
But you got to give them their due.
You do. Carr is thrown for 1,200 yards already. In 3 games.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know what's going on there with Las Vegas. Stevie D, we touched on it briefly. We were talking about Big Ben as the rookie quarterback, right? That was a long time ago. Let's bring it to the present. Not here to talk about the past. I'm here to talk about the present, right? Famous words in front of Congress. When is enough enough?
You know what's eerie? And my memory is dating me because I was a young kid. If you remember Terry Bradshaw on the way out of Pittsburgh, it was awful. It was ugly, right? And this is what this is reminding me of Big Ben in Pittsburgh. It's not going to end well here. It's not looking good. Look, I don't wish ill on anybody, really. And I hope his career doesn't go out the way it's projected to go out. it's just it's there's nothing good there in Pittsburgh, and then
I don't
Tomlin's
see
got a
it.
decision. Tomlin's got a decision. I mean, what do? You have to ride the old man, right?
But
Out.
Tomlin and the Steelers had the decision in the offseason, and
Yeah, right.
they failed.
Yes, correct.
And they failed. And so what they're getting now, yeah, they beat the Bills week one, and people are wondering how did that happen, right?
Miracle.
I told you after that game that I blame that on lack of preparation by the preseason for the Bills. Now everybody had the same deck in how they handled it and addressed it going into week one, but the Bills weren't prepared. It was obvious they weren't prepared. Everybody was off. You see Allen week by week improving. He needed that, and they kept him out of basically all the preseason.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but in my mind, Pittsburgh should have lost that game, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo had the lead, and they just were sloppy penalties. Just the whole.
Roethlisberger didn't win him the football game.
He absolutely did not. It was the block punt that won him the football game. That's what won it. Speaking of special teams, that's two. Now I think about it, that's two special teams errors in 3 weeks. We'll get to that in a minute. But yes, so, but when you look at Roethlisberger and you look at the Steelers and Tomlin, there's almost a undying loyalty to Ben when there doesn't need to be, right? You just have that conversation and you say we have to do what's right by the team. Now they have Dwayne Haskins. And they have Mason Rudolph, right? Neither one do I think is a starter in the NFL. Both probably adequate backups. I think Mason probably a little bit, based on what we've seen, better than Haskins, but Haskins seems potentially to have raised his game after being released. But neither are starters. So that means that you had in the offseason, this past offseason, to try to find who's going to be the replacement for Ben? Because if you're looking in that quarterback room and you're saying one of those two guys, oh, we got problems, right? You have worse problems with that than what you have right now in 2021. And they missed their mark. And now they're going to have to suffer. This is probably going to be a 3-year high period of time that they're going to be suffering, right? Unless you go get the quarterback off the free agent market.
Or you go to a Haskins and a Rudolph and the season tanks and you get a high enough pick where you can get your next quarterback. And hopefully, but again, it's still a 3-year because you're not going to have that necessarily that rookie sensation.
You can stay with Roethlisberger and do that. You don't have to go to Haskins.
But in fairness, I look at it as I want to know what I have in my backups. Well, you know what you have in Rudolph because he's played.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a chance that he can be better than he was last year? Sure. I mean, it's not hard to be better when you're at the bottom. But would you want to know more about Haskins?
Not really. I saw all I need to see over in Washington.
Yeah, but you don't know. Maybe just it was a maturity thing. He wasn't on the same page with his coaches. Maybe he had a reality check, and maybe with Tomlin and the coaches at Pittsburgh.
I'm good. I look at a guy.
I'm trying here.
I look at a guy, and you brought him up, like Mitch Trubisky.
My glass is half full for you, Dwayne.
Mine is empty. But I look at what Trubisky did, right? Trubisky was just in a bad situation in Chicago, but always took the high road, right? You never heard Trubisky talking bad about the coach, the organization, the players, the play calling, none of that, right? Always said the right thing in front of the microphone. Got to get better. We got to do this. We got to do that. I take it on my shoulders, and you just move on. To me, that's the high-level character that you want as your signal caller. Now, it didn't work out there, right? But to me, if I'm looking at somebody to replace, and maybe that may be the replacement if you think about it, but because he's only on a 1-year deal with Buffalo, if he's looking for a starting gig, that would be the type of guy that I would covet because he has the ability. Right? Does he have the ability or the value to trade all the way up to make that type of trade to go get him? Probably not, right? That was a stretch. But you know that he's a starting quarterback. He's one of the top 32 for sure. So, yeah, one quarterback's DVD that we didn't talk about. We talked about Dax and Mike McCarthy, but we failed to talk about the team of green. The not your Jets, not your green, the other green. Yeah, fly eagle fly.
Sorry,
Those
Jay.
birds are grounded. All right, just horrible. And watching Jalen Hurts out there is beyond head scratching. There were some plays where I felt bad for him. I mean, there was one play where they ran a screen. I don't know if you saw the play. It was the funniest thing in the world. They ran a screen and the whole right side or the whole left side of the defensive line just comes flying at him. I mean, 4 across, led by Micah Parsons. They're all coming. But the running back slips out of the backfield. They were running a screen. The running back slips. So there's nowhere to go there. And now you got 4 guys coming at you, and Jalen's just like, right? And here he goes. And he's running, right? And, then he turns to the side and he throws the ball. But I'm thinking that this is the typical Eagles, right? That's what we're looking at. Oh, look who made his way just in time. Just in time.
Sorry, Jay.
Just in time. But, so I felt bad for Jalen Hurts, like on that play. But then you watch him on the 50 other times that he dropped back, and it just seemed like he was lost, right? Either the receiver had to be so wide open with blown coverage or that he sat in that zone for him to hit him, or he was taking off the run because he couldn't find it. And he's still technically a rookie quarterback. Let's not forget that he came in because as bad as Wentz was last year, that they had to pull him out and put Hurts in. So he's still technically a rookie quarterback, but I would expect more from him because he was the rookie last year, had the offseason, had the training camp, and was entrenched as the number one.
We've had starters in the league have atrocious games. Really good quarterbacks have had bad games, right? So to think a kid who hasn't had 16 pro starts in his career not to have a bad game, I think it's a little.
Ooh, that was bad though, Steve.
Yeah, I understand.
That was.
Right?
I mean, that was Nathan Peterman bad. That was Nathan Peterman bad. Right? I mean, granted, he didn't throw all the interceptions.
From a Nathan Peterman bad game? Has anybody come back from a Nathan Peterman bad game?
No. I mean,
I'm just saying. Look, I don't want to go doom and gloom here, Jack. I'm going to get you back here a little bit, right? I'm going to try here. Oh, okay. And I'm going to get you back here. It's just. I think more time needs to be out on Jalen Hurts. I don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback. I don't want to, set him out that he's going to be a Nathan Peterman type quarterback for his career. But let's give the guy a little bit more time. He had a bad game. He'll bounce back this week. Who they got this week, Jay? Who they got?
The Little Sisters of the Poor.
So they got a chance. Okay.
And they're still a 5-point underdog.
Oh, God.
So Jay decides he wants to coach now. Is that what it is? Where you play Madden, Jay? Is that what happened? You just decided to take Miles Sanders and you just started playing on Madden? No, in
rookie mode. He's playing on rookie mode,
right? In all fairness, it's not good there in Philly. It really isn't. They're wasting great talent on that defense. And I don't see it improving. And it's bad decisions. There just have been series of bad decisions, right? To put your faith in Carson Wentz, a bad decision. And then you extend him with all that money, and then you have to kind of cover that money when you get rid of him, right? Just bad decisions. And you look at it all the way through. At the end of the day, we know Jay's an Eagles fan. And we have Tanya, a friend of the show as well, Eagles fan. So, for that, I guess you kind of want to see him do something, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. If you need support, you need therapy. The boys in green can unite together and kind of, just console each other because this is going to be a long year for green.
you know, mistakes hurt a franchise and sets franchises back a long way, right? You,
Good
I'm not
point.
saying that they shouldn't have moved on from Carson Wentz. They moved on, right? And you're putting your eggs in Jalen Hurts. If that doesn't work out, now all of a sudden you're holding on to Jalen Hurts for maybe 2 years, 3 years, right? Then all of a sudden Jalen Hurts doesn't work out. You change your quarterback. Then you bring in a new quarterback, and that doesn't work. And all of a sudden now you change your head coach. Now you change your head coach. Now you got to go through a whole new coach thing because you got to hope you bring in a proven guy that can turn the franchise around.
No.
Right? But I'm just saying,
But why are you recapping and bringing up painful wounds of the Buffalo Bills?
That's painful wounds for a lot of organizations, right?
Yeah.
Look at the Cleveland Browns. They did it for 20 plus years with what? 7 quarterbacks they drafted in the first round since '99 or whatever it was with Tim Couch. It happens, and you get into this cycle, right? The Jets are in that cycle right now where you're hoping to get something going here. So Howie Rosen, what's his Howie? Who's the is it Rosen?
I think it is.
Yeah. So it's just a vicious cycle, and the Eagles have to be careful because who's their coach? Is it Staley?
Yeah, they got rid of Peterson,
right?
which was a great move. But yeah, he's another first timer that's in there that is going to be run out. So Stevie D, there's a lot to talk about, but I would be remiss. I'm running out of daylight here, and kind of save the best for last. Maybe I saw
you're not undefeated, buddy. You're not undefeated. So you
tried to milk the clock. I saw you. You wanted to go on and on about the Jets and the Eagles and Mike McCarthy. But no. We need to talk about the boys in red, white, and blue. America's team. That's right. I said it. America's team. Please understand who I'm talking about. I have to say, I'm watching this game, and I got a little too high, not chemically induced high, but I got a little too euphoric high during the game when they were just laying it on the Washington football team. I was like,
you played the Washington football team. But excited because you're beat.
I did, because in my mind we were going to hang 60 or 70. This was going to be like a college game. We were just going to keep scoring and keep scoring, and then something happened. Right, and it was almost like a reality check. I'm not going to lie. And what happened, I equate, and I hope I'm equating it correctly, to the game against the Arizona Cardinals last year, right? Because Buffalo, after the Arizona Hail Murray, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Murray,
no more after the 109 yards. But, after that play, Buffalo went on a streak, and that streak came to an end in the AFC Championship game. They were focused. They realized that, maybe they've been reading the press clippings. All right, so I equate that to, we have now had back-to-back special teams gaffes, or 2 out of the last 3 weeks, special teams gaffes, right? The first time was, we talked about it, the block punt against Pittsburgh. Cost you the game, right? Right up the middle, inside your own 20, right? If anytime you want to not relax it and be ready, is inside the 20, right? And so it comes right up the A gap, and away you go, you block it, right? This time, and yes, I give credit to the Washington football team, but I also have to look at the Buffalo Bills and our special teams and the coaching by the special teams. You have to be ready every time you're on the field. For that kick to go up in the air, yes, it was short, and it lands in no man's land. But why aren't you coming up to field that ball? Why aren't you coming back to cover that ball? You know it's a live ball. And in essence, if it was a better team than the Washington football team, right? If it was a better team, you potentially would have lost that game because the momentum swing was so high. Yeah. You scored 14 points instantly.
I told you it was 21-0. I said, okay, Buffalo's got this. I'm, with the Sunday ticket, I'm going, and I'm checking out another game, right? And
the what?
the Sunday Ticket. And
Okay.
so I'm watching another game, and I go and I leave, and literally, I tell you, it was less than 5 minutes, and you had to have a commercial break in between.
Yeah.
I come back because one, I was kind of pissed because Josh Allen's my starting quarterback in my fantasy league. So I'm like, oh, it's up 21-0. They're going to start running the ball. I'm not going to get the points, right? So I'm like, come on, man. So I go back, and I'm flipping back, and I go back. It's 21-14. I'm like, what? I texted you. I'm like, what the heck happened? I literally left. It was 21-0, and then it was 2014 in less than literally 5 minutes. Not game clock 5 minutes. 5 minutes total in real life time.
My response, like, you don't want to know.
And then literally, when I was texting you, and I came back over, I saw the highlight of the kick that doinked and went back this way, which the odds of that happening are unbelievable. Sure. But it just goes to your point. If the receiver just runs through it, he catches it on the fly instead of slowing up and letting it bounce for whatever reason. I didn't know what he thought the bounce was going to do for him because he could have caught the ball and just slid at that point in time. If you look at his bounce, you never know where it was going to go at that point in time. It could have went right past you, and then you got a bigger problem because now the gunners can just run right past you and pick up the ball. It was awful. But I just couldn't believe in a blink of eye it was 2014. But then I have to admit, selfishly, I'm like, yes, more points for Josh Allen because he's going to put it on him now.
And that he did. He did. It was a nice performance by Josh. What he total five total touchdowns. He had 4 passing. It was great to see Emmanuel Sanders. And I'll tell you what I do like is that, and I think I told you this, with Mahomes, when you look at Mahomes, he's spreading out to 9 different receivers in one game. Okay, but you're actually kind of hurting yourself, I believe, from that aspect. When I look at what Josh is doing, he's riding the hot hand, right? So Beasley's been hot in one game. You've had now Emmanuel Sanders has been hot in one game. The only guy that really hasn't gotten off yet, and we know what's coming, is Stephon Diggs, right? And he's had decent games. He just hasn't had the big game. But it was great to see Josh look for him. The Dawson Knox touchdown, phenomenal, right? The knock on Dawson Knox coming into this year, it really, you had Jay trying to offer up Zach Ertz, right? The guy that's always hurt as a replacement. And I said, no, I got my guy. Well, hold on. In all fairness, I had Kyle Pitts. That's who I had coming. So, in all fairness, I'll be completely transparent. But, I have Dawson Knox, and he went to tight end U. He was down there with all those other guys. Maybe they showed him something, taught him something, because that catch he made at the side of the end zone, phenomenal.
He said he learned that from Tim Tebow at the camp.
I believe he did. I believe he did. Yeah, you can throw Tebow in all you want. I believe he did. Maybe he learned it from Kelsey. Ooh.
Did he show up for that?
He was there. Kelsey, Kittle, they all were there. I mean, I kind of want to go to this tight end. I want to see what's going on over there. But I'm happy where we are. I think we're gelling in time for some 2 critical games. Right? We have this week. We have the Texans, but coming up after that, we have the Chiefs, and then we have the Titans going to that cesspool of humanity in Nashville. I do not want to go in there. Mask up, vax up, do whatever you got to do so you can get out of there safe, because you go into Tennessee, who knows what's going to happen, right? Hopefully we still have the game, because we know what happened last year when we wanted to play them. The whole team came down with COVID. Right? That's basically what happened. Can we push you out another day? Can we push you out 2 more days? Really? How far do you want to push our game out? Right? I
got Tennessee this week.
What's that?
I got Tennessee this week.
Who's that?
Jets.
Oh, be careful.
Yeah.
Wear masks, maybe 2. Wear some gloves. Right? Do what you got to do. Don't take any showers in there. Just go and leave. I'm telling you, stay away from Tennessee as much as you can. So.
Honestly, about the Bills game, though, I thought the pass I liked was the rollout and how he threw that BB to Sanders on
the side in end zone.
Yeah, man, that was a money throw right there. I mean, that kid's got some serious arm talent. Serious arm talent.
You know, you didn't leave me a lot of time on the clock, so there's no meat on this bone left. So I can't talk about Zach Moss, who I need to give kudos to Zach Moss and what he's doing running the ball.
And so this show is we got the music.
There it is. There. Oh. Listen, I'm going to tell everybody right now, get your popcorn ready for next week. Even if I have to cut Stevie D off air and just go on a full Bills podcast, we're doing it. We are doing it. I lost my time this week.
I did a good job today for our audience today, and saved what the best for last. But
yeah, I get cut. Right? It's just like the Oscars, and now they're playing the music.
Yeah, that's right. The credits are starting to roll. Absolutely.
Yeah, I see how this is going. Well, you know, again, we will say thank you to everybody who participated here in the podcast. The comments, the chirping is appreciated. No pun intended, Jay. But definitely appreciated. Love how the Bills Mafia was represented, well represented. Sorry, Stevie D. But that's okay. You got, if it wasn't for family, you'd be out there on an island.
Revis Island, baby.
Indeed. This is D.
I want to congratulate Nick Mangold on his he's eligible for the Hall of Fame. And yeah, so excited that came out this week.
The list is like 50. I got Daryl Taylor and Cornelius Bennett on that list.
Who?
Well, we know who they are. Don't who me. You know Biscuit. You know Spidey Man. You know those guys. However,
they're like 80 years old. They ain't getting in. Get out of here with that.
Well, they need to get in, and Tasker needs to get in, and Tasker really needs to get in.
You know my guy Mangold's getting in. He's a lineman. He's getting in.
If he gets in before Tasker, we're going to have a show dedicated to Steve Tasker.
Tasker, he ain't getting in.
He won't do it.
The Ray guy had to wait 50 years to get into the Hall of Fame.
Devin Hester get in?
He'll get in before Tasker.
I think so, too.
Just because he scored 1 million touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he gets in.
If Hester gets in, maybe that's the key to getting Tasker in.
I don't think so.
He's got a special teams guy.
I don't think so.
He was also a corner. But Tasker played wide receiver.
He was a wide receiver. The thing is, though, if Hester gets in, it almost pushes Tasker that much further back because they're going to be like, we can't keep having these special teamers get in.
Well, yeah, that's a possibility because we only have one punter, but we only have one punter that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I told you my thoughts on Tasker. Right? When you create an all-pro position, when you create a position on a football field, number 53 is for the special teams guy. And when you create something like that, you typically get in and you get recognized in Hall of Fame. So,
because of the kind words, yes, Nick Mangold is eligible. And I'm sure you probably have 20 other guys that you signed for 1 year as a Jet that are on the list too.
We got so many of those that I have to check the list. I mean, we put 4 in the Hall of Fame this year, right? I mean, so we're putting people in, baby.
So, but again, thank you to everybody who participated here during the live stream. We appreciate that. You, as I mentioned before, you can always hit us up at our Twitter at Real OWSports, on our Instagram account, on Facebook. We love to chat. We love to interact with those that are out there. For the audio version, you can check out your favorite podcasting platform. You can listen. You can even listen to some of the older episodes where we had some interesting debates back then. But yeah, you can check us out. And of course, whether or not you're watching us here on Facebook or you're watching us here on YouTube, we appreciate it. So for my co-host Stevie D, I'm Vince. We'll talk to you soon.